So y'all haven't been hearing me talk. So this is an introduction about the three that eventually saw the case through. But we gonna go through the introduction. We gonna tell y'all the name. Well, I say I'm we because my wife is sitting here, and sometimes she might say something about the next photos that we're gonna put up. So the breakdown so is. Y'all haven't been here to talk. So this is an introduction about the three. So basically, Douglas Hanson is number one in my eyes. He's number one, and everybody after him is listening to him. Everything Douglas Hanson. Should we call him DOJ Douglas Hanson? Hanson DOJ.
No, his name is Corrupted Hanson.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't want to change his name like that, but
he changes his own damn name.
He changed his name
to Douglas D. Hanson.
So me and my wife is gonna break this down. Gale Rieder is my public defender. She's my actual trial attorney. Susan Tripp that you see right here, corruption is real. Marion County Trial Judge Susan M Tripp allowed Douglas C. Hanson and public defender Gale Rieder to hate crime me in case number 14C42686, Marion County, Salem, Oregon. Now, I know a lot of you guys get bored with me. A lot of you guys get bored with me talking about this case because it's been six long years. But I don't give a damn. If it take 10 years, that's how you fight for justice, right? It takes like 10 years before you even get notice.
You got 4 more years. But people should also know too that those trio right there are also socializing friends.
Yeah, they friends outside of court.
And then on top of it, the one in the middle, Gale Rieder, who was the attorney for my husband, she was once upon a time a pro tem judge.
Which remind me, we'll give y'all Gale Rieder's paperwork on what my wife just said as far as being a pro tem judge. There's a lot that we got to break down, and we chose to do it later on in the day where everybody is just on their phones, got their little phones, and they going up and down their Facebook timeline, or they going up and down their YouTube, wherever. You can go see it on the Undercover Corruption, because I will share it in there. My Truth got this one. Light in the Darkness. What's the other one? Community. What's the other page you made? Portland Community got it. So several people is going to see this. And in the next, what we call Team A, we're going to break that down. But first, we got to put on Gale Rieder. Do you want to explain that? Or just, where's her declaration letter?
Well, you give paragraphs. I only like to give it two, three
No, I'm not giving a paragraph to this.
They just need to know the basics.
Yeah, but when you say something about, how do you know if Gale Rieder truly was?
Well, you look them up like you do anybody else.
No, we ain't looking them up. We putting on the evidence that Gale Rieder,
which you still look up because you have to research, and you can go to the Oregon State Bar and put in their license number, and that can give you any write-ups or probation that they've been on violation based on their unethical duties of a attorney representing.
Okay, there we go. Where was it? I am an attorney licensed. We'll do that later. But what I really want to do is get to Team A. Team A is big. Now, these is the star players right here. Douglas Hanson, Gale Rieder, Susan Tripp. That is the team. But in order for them to be successful at their corruption, they have to have a stream of people working behind the scenes, right? They have to have a stream of people.
Well, if you really think about it, it goes even deeper because the judge that you see in the blue Susan Tripp,
Yeah, you could say her name.
was actually a district attorney for the Multnomah County. For the Marion County DA. Sorry, but she was actually doing an intern.
Douglas Hanson was the intern to Susan Tripp.
So they go way back in the water.
So when Douglas Hanson finally came in to the Marion County DA's office, Susan Tripp was the actual lead district attorney there, and she took Douglas Hanson under her wing. Now, we don't know the depth in relationship as far as Gale Rieder and Susan Tripp.
Well, Susan Tripp and Gale Rieder have to cross paths because she was once upon a time a judge. But why would you go from a judge to being a defender, an attorney that defends for the people?
So
publicly, supposedly. But she also was assigned by the judge, and he wasn't allowed to switch his attorney any longer. And though Gale Rieder knew my husband was telling the truth, her hands was tied because, in her own words, I quote, "This is a nightmare." And she knew what the nightmare was about.
So basically, when she was basically saying it was a nightmare, that means she knew that Susan Tripp and Douglas Hanson was orchestrating it, and they was threatening to go somewhere higher to suspend Gale Rieder's license and take away her career.
Because she had her own office, her own law firm.
Yes, she had all that. So,
but it's also a possibility too, that when Douglas Hanson was teleporting in the emails,
she never knew.
No, she didn't know until last minute because I saw it on the day you went to trial.
So basically, what my wife is saying is, when Gale Rieder CC'd Douglas Hanson into the emails, he began to teleport. So when Gale Rieder wasn't talking to me, Douglas Hanson would take over Gale Rieder's emails, and he will begin to talk to me. But by the time Gale Rieder found out about it, it was already sent. So that's why Douglas Hanson got Gale Rieder in his pocket, because he's saying, well, you sent it through your email. He's going to believe that you did it.
But I think that
he's blackmailing her. Poor old lady, man.
Before she knew and figured out he was teleporting to the emails, he had already teleported. Because remember, I read back the same exact rules dealing with constructive and delivery.
And then he got into my emails and tried to play as Gale Rieder and explain to me the law.
It was the DA and the attorney which broke attorney-client privilege.
Yes.
Because the DA was in the email, but when she tried to add him in later on, he was already in there. And by the time she realized that there was nothing that she can do, because how can you prove somebody was in your email when they would say, well, you added him into the email during such and such time. But when she didn't realize is that he was already in there. And I knew that because when Douglas Hanson called me through Willow Snowfair, the case manager, victims...
hey, don't name them yet. Don't name them yet.
The victim's attorney case manager, she contacted me to Douglas Hanson, and I spoke to him for almost 2 hours, and I recited law back to Douglas Hanson. But how can you get upset for me reciting the law back to the DA when it was between the attorney and the defender? So if the attorney is speaking to her client, why would the DA be upset for the supposed alleged victim to recite the law back to the DA? And he was upset because he knew I would have to been somewhere in some type of communication with my husband, because in the DA's perspective, he's thinking, well, how could the victim know what I'm writing to the defender, right, that I'm supposed to be prosecuting? But see, he thought that it was only him in the email between him and Gale Rieder. So when I was reciting the law back to him, he got extremely upset.
So basically, to wrap this up before we get into Team A, what my wife is saying is the same moves that Douglas Hanson was trying to use on me, we were also using on him. In my emailing, it was not just me emailing Gale Rieder. It was Nicholas Peterson, and it was also my wife. So now what we're going to do is click onto the stars of them all, and when we break this down, it's going to be like you've never ever heard before. It's going to be like you never ever seen before in your life.
Click on.
You can't.
But they can see that, right?
Yeah, they can see it.
So if you guys look to the top row, not the lady with the brick background, but the one to the left of her, Paige Clarkson now. Paige with the lady in the brick background, she's the new elected DA now, who took over for Walter Biglow. And I'm the reason.
Hold on, I'm sorry. So what my wife is saying is that Paige Clarkson is the top.
Not the lady with the brick background, but the one to the left.
Because we can't point them out. There's no way I can point them out.
You could just explain it through the left, or the top tier to the right, the one with the brick. So the lady to her left, right, as I was saying, the lady Paige is the one with the brick background. She's the elected DA now, who took over for Walter Biglow, who is the second to Paige Clarkson. So Walter Biglow was the elected DA. He left because I wrote him a letter, and I wrote him a letter because I did some research on him. Came to find out that he was a married man, and he was also a believer of God. Now, with him being a believer of God and being the elected DA for Marion County, Salem, Oregon, I had to put pressure on him because you're the attorney, the elected DA for Marion County, so therefore you have ethical duties, and supposedly you signed this illegal paperwork with my name on it that I was ambushed through my apartments. So Paige has contact and knows what's been going on because she prior worked in the same office. But Willow Snowfarrow is the lady next to Paige Clarkson, and she was actually the case manager for the victims' rights in Marion County, which is located in the Marion County DA's office. So Willow Snowfarrow, I had contacted the Marion County Victims Assistance Program, and I spoke to somebody that transferred me to Willow Snowfarrow, and I spoke with her and made some valid points regarding the case 14C 42686, and that's how I got in contact with Douglas Christopher Hanson, which was the DA prosecuting this criminal case in Salem, Oregon. So I say this to say that they're all connected. They all know what's going on. They all play a part. And they all play a part due to the simple fact that Douglas Christopher Hanson has a very high role. He is Marion County DA's attorney, and he's also a chairman for the Victims' Rights Task Enforcement with the Attorney General, but I kind of said that backwards. So what it really is, the Attorney General's Victims' Rights Task Enforcement. Douglas Christopher Hanson is the chairman for the noncompliance team. So what that means is Douglas Hanson instructs these advocates on what to do, how to help them, give them the resources or be able to obtain their victim rights in any and all criminal procedure courts. So that did not occur with me I did not receive any victim advocate because I was not a victim. I was actually technically a suspect or defendant. A prostitute does not get charged if she is a victim. That means a crime happened upon me. That did not occur. So because that didn't occur, there's no way that Douglas Hanson could have ever made me into a vulnerable victim. And he knew that because of the fact that he looked up my prior maiden name, which was not Johnson, it was James. And when he looked up my prior past, he decided to take what had occurred with the prior man and stick that history between me and this other man upon my husband. So Douglas Hanson was assuming that we was professional criminals, I guess, because we have such extensive criminal backgrounds according to what Douglas Hanson claims, but yet he breaks basic rules by parking his car in the handicap parking space when he know he can't because he doesn't have the handicap sticker. So he has quite extensive background of parking tickets in the handicap parking space.
Now let me explain it because I'm the one that put the lineup together and I'm the one that called it Team A. Team Associates. Right? You got Douglas Hanson with the Marion County DA's office. Then you got next to Douglas Hanson, you got Ryan Dunbar with the Marion County Sheriffs who actually lodged me in and out of the Marion County Jail for Douglas Hanson in order for Douglas Hanson to psychologically make me think that I was fighting a criminal case, right? Now, next to Ryan Dunbar, you got Roger Joe Smith with the Salem Police Department. You got Roger Joe Smith with the Salem Police Department who actually did the prostitution bust on my wife, supposedly. He had no idea I was in the room. So basically what he did was booked me on a bunch of frivolous charges. Then you got Eric Hernandez, who was also from the Salem Police Department. He took the stand and they both lied under oath. They was willing to do such a crooked job for the prosecutor Douglas Hanson because Douglas Hanson is not the typical prosecutor that prosecute countless cases. He also works for the Attorney General. I know y'all see Ellen Rosenblum right up under Douglas Hanson, but we moving down the line. Next to Eric Hernandez is in fact Julian Jody Fisher,
who had a fling with Douglas Hanson.
Oops, I didn't. You didn't have to bust him up like that. Julian Jody Fisher also is doing Douglas Christopher Hanson a favor. Now, one thing we do know about Douglas Hanson is he holds a lot of leverage over people. How he do it is he manipulate by downloading certain
software
to his
computer, which is a iMac. Home PC, and then he has another viewing computer to slide his information over so he could watch you. He has a secret room that's electronical that he doesn't allow his significant other at home. We're not going to bring sexual orientation in it because it's not about a person's choice of sexual orientation, but he does tell his significant other to not go into this specific room that is his workspace. When really, he's listening into people without you being able to know it because he can put a bug onto your information as long as he knows your information. And you have to think, you work with these people. These are your colleagues. You trust them. You guys go out on lunch and you get personal and tell stories. And what he does is he charms people. And he is at work thinking that he is this real muscular man, but really he's
trying to figure out
his sexual orientation.
Okay, and that's enough. We're gonna move on to the next person next to Julian Jody Fisher. His name is Lieutenant Russ Morris. He's the now retired uh, Salem Police Department. He's also working alongside Douglas Christopher Hanson. And the reason why he's involved with our situation is because he actually met up with us. We got some signed paperwork that we went down to try to obtain my wife police report, and he signed on our piece of paper in his own signature that my wife couldn't get that police report. He also was pretending to be an internal affairs in my case. I don't know if he seriously was internal affairs, but that's what he claimed to be in my case. Now, the reason why he was internal affairs because I had wrote up Roger Joe Smith and Eric Hernandez for lying under oath and falsifying documentations and just basically lying cops, right? So that was Lieutenant Russ Moore's job. He's now retired. Now we move right next door to the elected district attorney who hired Douglas Hanson, who couldn't bring charges against one of his own. So he took the easy route out and he retired.
But he only retired because I wrote him a letter. I wrote a letter to him because...
Oh, his name Walter Biglow.
I wrote a letter to Walter Biglow because of the fact that I wanted some answers. And once I saw in the news locally that he was retiring in Salem, that gave me enough time to be able to write him a letter, having him explain to me why was I subpoenaed to court as a victim and why is his signature on it. So therefore, I wrote him a letter and I found out that he was a married man and he had wife and kids and he was an honorable guy as a DA for Salem and Marion County, and he had very much respect by his peers in the community. So I took that into consideration, thinking that he would reach out, but he never wrote me back. He continued to ignore me and continue to follow through with retiring.
I want to say something though, about Walter Biglow, because he in fact did know about our case, about the case against me, but he didn't know the extent of it because Douglas Hanson had already went to him and he said, "Hey, these kids is if Matthew wasn't guilty, why did he take the deal? Why did he, and he was lying to this man of faith. This man went home contemplating what to do. What should he do? Because he know one thing, that Matthew Johnson is telling the truth, but he cannot file charges on one of his own because he has to think about the publicity in it. Like, all trust is lost because my claim is that Douglas Christopher Hanson, and I stick by this claim, is violated my state and federal constitutional rights. He took the law into his own hand. He played a wicked hand.
But what about when the story comes out? He's still going to be in the public for not holding ethical duty.
And that's something he got to take up with his God or whatever he do. Deep down inside, I really feel that Walter Biglow watches me and he gonna go to tell somebody. He gonna go tell one of these people is gonna tell somebody, And so we're gonna move over to the next woman, which is Willow Snowfarrell. Now, my wife can explain Willow Snowfarrell because Willow Snowfarrell plays a very important role. In order for Douglas Hanson to reach out to my wife, who's playing this vulnerable victim, which means the state don't have to show the judge the age of the victim because of privacy, and this is violating the juvenile courts right rules. He was using juvenile court rules for my wife in an adult case. Douglas Hanson. And when they figure this out and when they break this down, they gonna understand Matthew Johnson and Jessica Johnson has been telling the truth. Willow Snow Farrell made it happen. She reached back out to Douglas Hanson and said, "Hey, Jessica's been calling me. Who's this Jessica girl and why she's not assigned to any victim advocate?" And Douglas Hanson began to manipulate Willow Snow Farrell, and they supposedly staff what to say to my supposed wife, the supposed victim. She's my wife. I said my supposed wife, but the victim, the supposed victim, which is my wife, right? So Willow Snow Farrell and Douglas Hanson talks. We don't know that they talking, right? So they eventually make a phone call.
But prior to that phone call, what happened was when I figured out that my name was this supposed victim, and they were saying that it was a child, and I figured it out, and I said that's not possible because I have already prior went through a pimping and pandering case. I know what it means to be a vulnerable victim. I know what it means to have a victim's advocate. I went through it already. So when you go through something like that as a child and you really don't know what, like, the full depth of what's going on at a teenage years when this is going on, certain things happen and you don't forget because it becomes traumatizing. So when my husband and I went through this situation, luckily I still remembered and had enough knowledge to the victim's rights and certain things. And when he started to look it up and see certain things and realize that I was telling the truth, and then I went to go get my prior case, because no matter what, I have access to it because I'm a part of the case, and anything that's in Multnomah County record you can obtain if you are the victim. And I knew that. So my husband had taken me to Multnomah Courthouse, and I went to obtain the case upon my ex-pimp and I, so he could go through the case. And what we realized was it was the same replica type of copycat case. Now, how Willow Snow Farrell came into contact with Jessica Johnson, myself, is because I would call the Marion County's Victim Assistance Program, because if I'm being labeled as a victim, then who's been my victim's advocate since this case had started? Because one thing I do know, and by law, is when you're a victim, you are assigned a victim's advocate, whether you use your rights or not. But in the beginning of a criminal case, you automatically have rights. And when you participate in a criminal crime, in courts, going through the criminal procedures, by law, the DA is actually your attorney.
Representing you.
He's still your attorney.
Yeah, he's your attorney.
That is
he
why.
Or she is your attorney.
So therefore, Douglas Hanson couldn't recall that I would remember this prior case, but I did. Now, once we figured out the victim's perspective, and my husband would have me call certain people because I told him, you're not going to have access because you're not labeled as the victim. You're actually going up against them. So I have to call. When I contacted the Marion County Victims Assistance Program and actually spoke to an advocate and actually knew my rights and actually was able to express them, they had no choice but to assign me to, check this out, the Victims' Rights Case Manager, which means she distributes advocates to specific criminal cases based upon their experience. So, with that being said, I had spoke to Willow Snow Farrell because I was not assigned a victim's advocate, and because I wasn't signed a victim's advocate, she had to be the one dealing with me. And when I brought up certain points and perspective to her, she had no choice but to go to the DA that was on this case, because I made such valid points that she herself wanted to know the answers to my questions, and the answers was never given. It was manipulated through Douglas Hanson. So what Douglas Hanson did, now remind you, Douglas Christopher Hanson works at the Department of Justice at the Attorney General's Victims' Rights Task Enforcement as the noncompliance team, subcommittee team, as a chairman. So he teaches, he receives these complaints about victims' rights, and he goes upon dealing with it. So of course Douglas Hanson knows all the rules of the victims' rights. He knows that. He's a DA. He's a chairman. How can you not know? So therefore, what Douglas Hanson did is set up a phone call with Willow Snowfarrell and I and him all talking through a trio conference. Now, Willow Snowfarrell's job is to help the victim understand her role in a criminal crime. And because I did not receive a victim's advocate, even though I was labeled as a victim, what happened was Douglas Christopher Hanson cheated because he already knows victim rights, and he's a chairman for the Attorney General's Victims' Rights Task Enforcement. I keep repeating it because it's very important to understand how he connects and how he manipulates the victim and witness roles. And the reason why I brought in witness is because after the hour and 40 some odd minutes of conversing with Willow Snowfarrell and Douglas Christopher Hanson, having these questions and wanting to know, why have I not received the advocate? Why have I not participated in this criminal crime through the courts? Why? So he had Willow Snowfarrell in the middle to, I guess, mediate, but it didn't help because she was never an attorney signed to my case.
A victim advocate assigned to you.
Yeah, my victim's advocate signed to my case. She wasn't signed. She was a witness, victim, nothing. That she still has to do it all, victim or witness or anything, because she's the case manager for Marion County's Victims Assistance Program. And when you're a witness, you have limited resources.
And limited rights.
So after that phone call, Douglas Hanson knew he had to switch the game up because I knew too much about victims' rights. So to exclude me from any further he made me into a witness because he knew I would taint it, crush, crumble, salt the case. So by that, he did not allow the Lewis and Clark to give me help. He doesn't allow appellates and post-conviction relief advocates to help me. He didn't even allow the Oregon Victim Crime Law Center to even give me, and they're pro bono on nonprofit. What's going on here? Oh, Douglas Christopher Hanson has access to all of these connections and all these nonprofits that's being distributed through federal fundings. So therefore, he is able to manipulate because he's earned his way in DOJ as a chairman for the non-compliance subcommittee team for the Attorney General.
So he's credible.
So therefore, come on, guys. She's got extensive background of prostitution.
And he shows people that behind your back, and what is a violation of it is violating your Fifth Amendment right without you even invoking it.
If I'm not a victim, why is Douglas Christopher Hanson speaking for me at the end of court?
Yeah, I can let the courts know, Your Honor, and
he manipulated, and then he tried to. When I heard of all that conversation, we got the transcripts, and I contacted Willow Snowfarrell again to ask her, you guys lied and manipulated, and you took everything and twisted it, and that is so wrong. And she goes, well, if you have any complaints, then I'll send you a tort claim, and you can make your complaint. Now, do I look like Boo Boo the Clown? Because why would I give you my evidence and my write-up after going to battle with my own husband of not allowing him to share my evidence because I knew I had Douglas by the pinky of his toenail and he knew that. So what he did was he sent Willow Snowfell again to send me some falsified tort claim documentation so he could have my evidence. Remember, he has control of the victim's complaints.
Yeah.
Why would I show you my hand?
He's the chair.
So,
and the complaint is that he illegally prosecuted.
No, the complaint is he used me as a victim and I did not receive any victim's rights and nor an advocate, nor did I participate in any of the criminal procedure, and I have been calling the Marion County Victims Assistance Program, and you tell me this, Mr. Hanson, Willow Snowfellows, that she's not my advocate, and nor has anybody been assigned to an advocate for this case.
You're not an attorney. I am.
And I know how to do my job.
So don't ever say that to me. That's offensive.
Michael gave me his number.
That's offensive. Don't ever say that to me. So we gonna get off of Willow Snowfell.
Well, she had to. Everybody.
Cause she's gone, right? She's gone from the Marion County DA.
Not because we do anything wrong, but because maybe sometimes people just want to change careers.
So what made her leave, though?
And go to an elementary school as a counselor.
She probably not even there now because we exposing her. Right? Now, the reason why we got the brick wall lady right there on the brick wall, because that's exactly what a cell look like. I've been in a cell before. I know how cold it is. I know about the toilet and all that, right?
And the wool blankets.
Yeah, the wool blankets. And if you're allergic to the wool blankets, you get a cotton blanket, right? You know what I'm saying? But I picked this picture because Paige Clarkson is being played. She is being lied to. She's instructing people from her office not to listen to my wife, not to take any of her phone calls serious. This lady is supposed to, she's an elected DA.
She took over for Walter Biglow because Walter Biglow retired.
But I'm saying that it's still corrupted because Paige Clarkson plays a very important role here. She now is the elected DA, but what was her position before she actually got into being elected district attorney for the Marion County District Attorney's Office?
She was a trial court coordinator.
No, she was the trial court supervisor that approved.
Yeah, they coordinate courts. That's what her description is.
So she had to have approved Douglas Hanson and Julian Jody Fisher to take me through trial.
Or
they didn't tell her.
Yep.
They did not tell her. That's why she told you, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
How is it that we know who your husband is, Paige Clarkson?
Because I it's her husband, but I truly believe that you was not talking to her husband. That's why she has no recollection.
I wonder if her husband.
That's why they make you. That's how Douglas Hanson makes other people lose their mind, and he makes other people look incredible. I mean, discredit them.
Watch when I get down to Stephanie Allen and I break Stephanie Allen down.
Well, they all told because Julian Fisher got on a phone call with me and told me that Douglas Hanson didn't have the rights to do that, and because he did what he did, he wasn't supposed to because he didn't have the authority to do it. So if he messed up one area when he knew better, then I'm telling you, the whole case is tainted.
Yeah, he tainted it.
If one is tainted, A, B, C through Z.
That's why I got Team A up here. And we gonna get through this real quick now because the second row is basically the DOJ. Those first four pictures is DOJ, and we ain't gonna do too much explaining. All we will say about them is their names. And the thing is, remind you that Douglas Hanson is what is he? He's the subcommittee chairman. He's the chairman for the subcommittee.
No, he's the chairman for the non-compliance subcommittee team for the Attorney General's Victims' Rights Task Enforcement.
That boy is he good.
Dangerous.
Dangerous.
He's a smooth criminal.
That's my cut.
I don't really care, cause he don't really care about us.
All I want to say is that Doug don't really care about us. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us.
No, Salem don't really
yeah,
care.
that's why I changed it.
Salem don't really care about us.
I'm tired of being a victim of hate. Man. So yeah, Douglas Hanson, in fact, still up there, works for the attorney. Where is it?
It's right there on top.
Yeah, the Attorney General Task Force on Victim
But see, they
Rights
changed
Enforcement.
it because it used to say Attorney General's Victims' Rights Task Enforcement.
So, under subcommittees and workshops for noncompliance, read that.
It's subcommittees and work groups on the Attorney General's Victims' Rights Task Enforcement. See, they changed the name because they know it so fluently. But no matter if you jumble the words, it's still the same concept.
And what is the mission, please?
So, he's a non-compliance response. Like I was saying before, guys, that when Willow Snowfell was trying to give me documentation for a complaint, it was going to ding!
All I want to say is that Doug don't really care about us.
Because the mission for the non-compliance response subcommittee and work group is to develop ways to report, review, and resolve non-compliance of victims' rights through a non-judicial model.
Chair.
Doug Hanson. Now, why would a person misspell their last name?
He changed that up. He's
the deputy district attorney for Marion.
That's like
County.
saying you don't know how to spell your last name. And his thing is, I didn't spell it. His thing is, I didn't spell it. Somebody else put it up there. The Attorney General.
But your name is Douglas.
Douglas Christopher Hanson. Now, the Attorney General, her name is Ellen Rosenblum. She's the leading attorney for all jurisdictions, no matter if you in Multnomah County, Marion County,
Polk County, Washington County,
in all the counties. She's the head BITCH in charge.
That's who Doug works for.
Yeah, that's his boss, the Attorney General.
And then you got wonderful.
Oh, my cousin, man. Arias Johnson. That's my buddy, man.
Now, he got sued by the Attorney General.
No, he
sued the Attorney General for digital stakeout, which we are on currently right now.
Look, let me tell you about my cuddy Arias, man. You know what I'm saying? I once had the dreads, you know what I'm saying? I told him, hey.
He kind of looked like John Ashford.
Hold on, explain Arias Johnson.
So, Arias Johnson spoke with my husband due to the many write-ups that my husband has done over the years on complaining to these people. So, he was telling them what was going on. But see, he wasn't trying... Arias Johnson worked with the Attorney General. He wrote her speeches. He did it all, you know.
Yeah.
He was the civil department.
He was the civil director for the Civil Rights Department of the Oregon Department of Justice.
And
we want to give y'all the information.
And so
good, though.
My husband had spoke with him and was telling him what was going on, and he wouldn't help him. But just later on, turn around
in December of 2014, December like 23rd of December 21st.
It was a few days
before Christmas.
No, I think it was like 2-3 days before Christmas.
Yeah, they try to give me a early Christmas present. So it ends up being the Attorney General, Ellen Rosenblum, and Arias Johnson talking to me on the phone, and they trying to cover for Douglas Hanson, saying that my complaints ain't got no merit. They always use that. Everything they do got merit, but When somebody telling the truth about their corruption, there's no merit to the case. So basically, to speed it up, Arias Johnson turns around and ends up suing the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. He
made a tweet on Twitter, and he was talking about Black Lives Matter, and because he shared a tweet, they felt like he was against them, against the police, and this and that he didn't have a right to support his black community people, and so they digitally staked him out, and the Attorney General blackmailed him and turned around and did some horrible things to him and made him
wasn't able to practice law for 5 years.
That was your whole case.
And you know what? They lied and said that he moved all the way to New York. I would want to see his timesheet, his rental agreement, where he was paying rent at for the whole 5 years he was living in New York. But I don't think he ever moved. They just, he sued him and he put him on hush. Basically, they gave him hush money. They covered him and made it seem like he couldn't come forward with the information that he knows about Matthew Johnson and Jessica Johnson's case. So he wasn't able to speak to nobody, say nothing, and they was hoping and praying that this thing with us will boil over and that we'll be done with all the court proceedings. But that did not happen. So actually, Arias Johnson is back now as an attorney in Marion County, working as a private counsel. So he's still in the game. So next door to him, we got Michael Slauson. He's chief counsel. Now, the reason why he is important is because my doctor, Andrew Ross Harbison, took the time to write him up and write Douglas Hanson up to him. But what my doctor didn't know is that Michael Slauson was also Douglas Hanson's buddy from Department of Justice. So Michael Slauson went to Douglas Hanson and said, hey, you know anything about this report, this doctor from Rose City Urgent Care involved in Matthew Johnson? Douglas Hanson said, oh, I got this. Don't worry about that. Blase, blase. This man is suffering from
mental illnesses that was never diagnosed.
Yeah, so he took Douglas Hanson word for it, and he never, ever investigated my doctor's complaint. Now, the man next to him is from the appellate division representing the state, representing Douglas Hanson's crime, right? He's representing Douglas Hanson. This is actually Douglas Hanson's attorney for my direct appeal. When I went through the post-conviction relief, I first went through direct appeal, and his name is Benjamin Gutma? Benjamin Gutma. That sounds awkward. That sounds like a bowl of soup, right? So that's the reason why we tying Douglas Hanson in with DOJ. You can kind of see the picture. Now, the woman, Carrie Weiland, which we call Carrie Lyland, because she likes to do a lot of lying. She stole my preliminary hearing rights away from me, and I busted her working with Douglas Hanson. I rolled her up through the Oregon State Bar. So we gonna keep going. We got Gale Rieder. We already explained her in the intro. And then next door to Gale Rieder, we got another private attorney working the angle of the probation violation. Martin Charles Habakas. He was actually a good man. It blew his mind that they put me on arraignment, and then they forced me out of jail, and I was back there in court, not in the jumpsuit. I was like, these people been trying to go after me for a very long time. So he helped orchestrate with Julian Jody Fisher. So that's the reason why Martin Charles Habakas make this list. Now we got the Oregon State Bar, which is Ellen Rosenblum. I said Ellen Rosenblum. Her name is Helen Horchabo. Sorry about that. Their names get tangled up. I was looking at the Attorney General. But they kind of look alike. They kind of look like sisters. That's why they probably doing each other a favor. Now, she's the one that says to the attorneys that's on my case representing me, if you choose to help Mr. Johnson, we will suspend your license and you will not have a career. You are instructed not to help him. Let him talk to you. Don't respond back. Don't say anything. And that's what the behavior of these attorneys is doing to me. Moving on to every community, every county, every concern. This is how the prosecutor, from no matter what jurisdiction you in, can cross jurisdiction through what's called the ACLU, right?
Who's Matt DeSantos, who's
Okay.
no longer there. Which I have spoke to him personally.
Yeah, my wife had a meeting with him.
Personally, regarding civil liberty being violated by Douglas Christopher Hanson, in which they obtain the district attorney incriminating himself.
So the ACLU actually got Douglas Hanson's incriminating interview. Let's call it an interview, right? And my wife, she's finna leave. She's got to go to her next appointment. So I'm gonna be taking over the next order of business once we finish this. So the ACLU, Matt DeSantos, got on there because he actually had an interview with my wife. That's why the ACLU is tied into there. I highly doubt that the ACLU is corrupted. It was just Douglas Hanson took advantage of the fact that he's part of an LGBT political party. I got that information from a private source, and they were also tied into each other. Now, next door, we got Scott Taylor, which is the director
for probation and parole.
Parole, yeah. He actually was the one that introduced what's called the ISP program, intensive. What was it? Intensive supervision. Intensive supervision program, which allow a person that's on parole or probation
to be tracked through GPS, and it tells
through
you
Scram.
It tells you that it's for drug and alcohol, but really it's a full GPS that tracks you down and lets you know where you are. Your pinpoint through. Not through electronical GPS, it's through satellite.
And they take a blood sample to make sure that you're not drinking any alcohol.
But this is the thing. If the ISP ankle monitor is to detect alcohol and drugs, why do you need to draw blood if the monitor detects it? But it doesn't detect it because it actually has a microchip.
Yes. And that's why they tell the inmates that if they cut it off or alter it, they'd be subjected to a fine and misdemeanor. That is a lie.
Because how did we get it and how did we obtain it?
And I can prove that.
And how did we know what type of chip is in it? And you could put this chip into a computer.
Yeah, it's basically a memory card.
So
once they cut it off of you and let you go home, they take that off and they put it in their computer and they track it that way.
It goes further than that. Remember what the guy said when we first walked in? You was talking about right after you saw your probation officer, Stephanie Allen, right? You went up there and you watched the guy that came from behind us, and what did he do? He plugged up right up to next to them on the computer.
Yeah, he had to plug it up.
And they said, "Oh, okay, so you have been in your distance.
And you've been in your bubble.
Okay, good job. You haven't been anywhere. Okay, great. Good job. We should be able to get this off of you by next week."
And we applied pressure on Stephanie Alton and Paul Lively and the Multnomah County Community Justice Department.
But that's because we went to the physical ISP program and they couldn't find you in there, but you had one on there. They couldn't understand it. They asked you who your parole and probation officer was, and when you gave her name, it's funny how within 30 minutes she
called me on the phone and told me, "Matthew, did you go down to such and such?" I said, "Sure did. I wanted to know why."
She said, "Where are you at now?" He said, "I'm at home. Didn't you call me from home?"
Right, and I got a GPS on? And another thing is, I've never seen a person that was on the GPS able to stay a night at the hospital in the NICU, plugged up like iRobot.
Pretty much.
You know, I never followed their rules, even when I was on the GPS. Eventually, I got fed up and did what?
Cut it off.
And then when I cut it off, they released me from what?
Everything.
So that's why you see Stephanie Allen and Paul Lively. Next door to Paul Lively is his name is David Schietzler.
Who I've spoke to as well.
We caught him slipping.
No, he got busted because we got him to first before Stephanie Allen or the county to be able to give him a sex offender test. But see, this is the thing. We spoke to him. I spoke to him, and he even said that we made a lot of valid points, and there's no possible way that I could even be a victim to this case. But once Douglas Hanson and Stephanie Allen and Multnomah County and Marion County all got involved, it was a wrap. He had a different tune.
Yeah.
He agreed with everything that we said, with the evidence that we showed, but somehow, some way, he was singing a different tune.
A whole new world, a whole new random time.
You don't even know the lyrics.
No, I don't. I just know the tune. So next door, we got another elected DA who we know is a corrupted dude in cricket. That's why his ass is out of there.
Because of us too, because he also know Douglas Hanson, because he too sat on the Attorney General's victims' rights task.
This is
they
crazy.
Sat. See, look, every month
the only nigga that's on there couldn't help me at all.
And we went down to Rod Underhill's office, and he would definitely not even speak to me. I saw him in his office, and he went out through the other door.
My uncle saw this before he passed away, and my uncle saw it. I got two uncles that saw it. They saw my picture board, and they looked at this and they said, "You ain't dealing with nobody but the Ku Klux Klans. Them people is attacking you, and they ain't got no reason. All of them is married and got significant others, and all of them is all LGBT. I really believe it besides a few of them. But in looking at the umbrella, Douglas Hanson whole party that he went to is the ones that they endorse each other, they fund each other's elections, they do
campaigns.
They do the whole nine. Now to top this off before my wife get out of here is the Honorable Judge Susan Marie Tripp. I hear you say that you want the deal.
Hold on.
Hold on.
The sex offender. Hold on. Now, the sex offender registration.
Yeah, let's play that. That's a funny video. It
wasn't funny to you then.
I said I proved beyond reasonable doubt by taking polygraphs that I'm not a sex offender.
Douglas Hanson, I knew the tactics, and I used to tell him, I said, even though I know you don't want to register, I said, but when this comes out, he has to pay you each and every time you made you sign it. But you didn't sign it this time. They had it on the computer waiting for you electronically.
And they took advantage of
it. He took the electronic filing because electronic filing signature is going to go to him. And there you go. He's got your signature again.
And look at this. And
why don't you have a copy of your sex offender registration?
I do. They said
no, like the paperwork where it's pen.
Yeah, because I never signed it because they said due to COVID.
Oh,
hold on, we got it.
Wait, but how do you know I signed it though?
Yeah, how do you know it was me that called?
Because
I never called.
Douglas Hanson paid $1,200.
Yeah, he went to the Marion County courts and paid it years later.
And then he released my son's Social Security back pay on his terms.
Oh, and he's still withholding. That's why we call him DOJ Hanson.
No, that's why I call him
Corrupted Hanson.
Yep. He has initials CH.
Yeah.
You got Christopher Hanson, but the C is exchanged. The Christopher is exchanged for corrupted.
There's,
and then we have the audacity to find out that this DA is a Lutheran church member.
Yeah, come on.
Are you insane?
I think he did that purposely because he's been invading my phone calls, listening to me and Pastor Hawkins.
He's been listening, and like I've been telling you for years. He's been
listening to Pastor Hawkins.
I've been telling you this for years, and
Now, what if the pastor found out that Douglas Hanson was monitoring his phone calls and he went down to Zion Lutheran Ministry and talked to what's his name, Dan Hughes?
Yeah,
that's why they not helping me. Because Douglas Hanson is perpetrating. He's reaching out to the my own community people that's supposed to be helping me,
and he's portraying.
Yeah, he's portraying
to be what he's not. He's taking the office.
He don't even
for
work.
Personal gain.
He worked for the Marion County District Attorney's Office, and that's why I keep going live. He works
for the Marion County DA's office, but he also has accessibility to the Attorney General's Victims' Rights Task Enforcement, which is a department in the Department of Justice.
So he's not letting nobody that works from the Attorney General's office to actually legitimately give my case.
He worked for the city of Salem, right?
He prejudiced my case.
He worked for this. No, what he did was when he realized
I'm under appeal right now, and they every time.
Do you know how he really went this far? Is because when he got on that phone call with me for an hour and 40 odd minutes talking with Willow Snowfell, and I was reciting his own words back to him
from the email.
My email.
That was reading my email to him.
And when I was explaining to him, because he wanted to treat me like a prostitute and said I didn't have any education and I was this and I was that. Well, there's certain parts of this case that I played stupid and dumb, so he would think I was stupid and dumb. But the cat got your tongue, Doug, because it's your voice. You said it. You don't get the claim marital rights because I made you into a victim. Not the courts, not the judge, not the grand jury.
And he said
that's personal.
You and him, neither you or your husband,
get the claim.
But my attorney was telling me that I can claim it right.
But wait.
And I can likely keep you out of court because the judge wouldn't see you as a victim.
Whose side was I on? Because Gale Rieder had my name on the paperwork and so did Doug. But Doug used his power by going above her, by subpoenaing me illegally through my manager for my apartments in 2014. And then turned around and got me evicted.
Yes, that's what he did to you. That's exactly what Douglas Christopher
ambushed me and turned around and got me
ashamed of himself.
Homeless with the kid, went through high-end waters. But you know what? There was blessings that came within the trials and tribulations.
The thing, I went to jail for using
countless times.
I went to jail for using the internet.
And then they got mad because Stephanie Allen wrote in her notes exactly what I said. How are you arresting him when I'm clearly on his Facebook?
Oh yeah, I wanted to go to that right now because that, and then my wife gonna end up leaving whenever she want to, and it's fine with me. So this is her arrest cycle. Look,
Emmanuel.
What, man? My name is Emmanuel Elton Lee Chris Johnson. Matthew Emmanuel. I don't even know my own name.
You look like a ghost there.
So look. We're going to give y'all a breakdown of my arrest cycle. This is a crazy arrest cycle because in the first initial picture is me posing as Matthew Emmanuel Elton Lee Chris Johnson
But check
Jr.
this out. Another, when we looked his name up, right in the same, what do you call it? The same site that when you look people up when they go to jail, another white man that they did corruption to had the same exact middle name.
Yeah, he had
all bunched up in one.
Yeah, they do that to hide your crime out from.
So that's the
public.
Name. That's the name.
So
they
nobody
use.
Can look you up. So they can for sure charge your ass.
But that doesn't make sense because your picture is on there. That's dumb.
Yeah, and that's not my name. My name is Matthew Mayfield Johnson Jr. Douglas Hanson put these.
Elton Lee. It sounds like a Mexican, a white, and like a Asian name.
Man, come on, man. You know, man. But Douglas Hanson gave me compelling prostitution, promoting prostitution,
which considers a vulnerable victim that he has to have underage, and a vulnerable victim by law, according to the Oregon Revised Statute, is either a mentally ill, disabled type of person, 65 years or older. or 17 and younger, which none of the above apply to Jessica Johnson. Continue.
And this is why we reached out to Lou Frederick, lobbyist.
Senator lobbyist.
Senator lob. No, they like the Attorney General, like, throw me an alley hoop, Lou Frederick. If you don't, I'm not giving you this $1,000 so you can become chair of the Black Caucuses.
No, we playing law. No, we playing lobby. Yes.
Yeah. We playing lobby. Yes. We playing lobby.
Because you know why we say he's a lobbyist? Because we happened to meet him a couple of Black Lives protest matter, and he happened to be in the back standing up like a statue with his hands crossed. Eavesdropping.
I can't breathe. But Mama, they gonna kill me.
But when you put him on the front street and try to give him recognition, he all of a sudden gets bashful and want to step
No, it ain't that. It's the fact that he got a close relationship with the Attorney General.
Oh, didn't you have a Zoom meeting?
Yeah, I was in there, and magically I don't get to get the notifications anymore. I've been rejected because I've been reaching out to Lou Frederick about this corruption and what we say. You'll see double jeopardy. Now, my wife has to go get to her appointment with the Lord, so we cannot stop that, right? But so I want to explain this to you, right? Because Douglas Hanson and Julian Fisher play some very important roles here. They are lying, and they also are cheating the system beyond reasonable doubt. They don't care for nobody's civil liberties. They don't care for nobody's constitutional rights. They don't care for your amendment rights. They don't care for your human rights. They don't care about nothing but themselves. They care about getting a conviction. They get paid whether they prosecute or they don't. That's exactly what Douglas Christopher Hanson said. Now, the thing is, you held me at the Marion County Jail. You held me there for 22 days because you lied to the judge and you told the judge, the same judge, Channing Bennett, that saw my wife case, her prostitution citation. Once we start breaking this down, you gonna get why I'm saying it's triple dog jeopardy. You gonna get why it was a hate crime. You gonna see why Matthew Mayfield Johnson Jr. is fighting the case as hard as possible, because there shouldn't have never been a time in life where somebody went this far to a point where they can't even look back. Douglas Hanson dug such a deep hole, He dug such a deep hole that now he can't climb out of it. The people that helped him can't help him out of this hole, because they know one thing about Matthew Mayfield Johnson Jr. is that I know the law and I study the law. And when you say Black Lives Matter, where is Urban League? Where is the NAACP? Where is Benjamin Crump at for a person like me? And I've been reaching out to all these different people. I've reached out to state senators. I reached out to Joanne Hardesty. I reached out to a lot of different people. And I'm going to show you how this man Douglas Hanson did not just go after me countless times, over and over again. He even went after my children. He lied to the public. He portrayed himself to be a parole officer from the Department of Justice, and he was doing a lot of wicked things. So when you see Douglas Hanson and Julian Fisher side by side, that means they collaborating and they doing things that they not supposed to be doing, and they don't even care because they think they get an immunity. They think they got what's called prosecutorial immunity, and that is not what's going to happen here. Once the FBI dig in and they look in, and the Amy Barrett, our new Supreme Court Justice, Justice Amy Barrett, and Kavanaugh, and the rest of the Supreme Courts, take a look deep at the inhumane things that this prosecutor did, not only to a human being, but he broke the Constitution. He broke the Constitution in a horrifying way. Not only did he do that, he took it to extreme measures. He lied to his own people. He lied to his own party. You talk about impeachment clause on the district attorney. This man need to be impeached. He need to lose his license for life. He will be able to write a victim impact letter to me. Not only to me, I want that victim impact letter to be to my wife Jessica Johnson, my son Matthew Johnson III, my daughter Demaya Johnson, and also myself, Matthew Johnson Jr. included, because these are the people that you made homeless. These are the people that you harassed. And not only that, you will further have to go ahead and make another separate victim impactment letter to my son Tristan Mayfield Johnson for putting so much pressure through the parole and probation office through Stephanie Allen on my wife to force her into early pregnancy, which created her to have my son earlier at 7 months. She couldn't carry him no longer because of the outstanding amount of stress from Stephanie Allen's phone calls and intimidation factors, threatening to lock me up and take away my wife only support at the time. This thing go deep because you went to DHS. You've been violating my son's Social Security benefits, back pay. You have not released any of that, and you've been keeping this family in a bind. And it's time for people to see what hate crime look like and what double dog jeopardy look like. And I feel like I'm preaching, but I'm preaching such a good thing that the people of this county, of this state, of this city, of this, the people here that call themselves leaders, that say they care about all lives, and it's not just black lives. When you say Black Lives Matter, who are you talking about? Is you talking about a specific person, or is you talking about all inclusive? Because if you are talking about a specific black person, then I don't fit the description of Black Lives Matter. But if you're talking all inclusive, then I fit the description, and I'm asking the public where's the help for the Johnson family, because we are going to need you guys' help. This is really serious. As you can see, my first initial arrest got Paul Lively and Stephanie Allen involved in my life. Now, I'm going to break it down the way that I put the pictures up there, because Douglas Hanson and Julian Jody Fisher basically took away my preliminary rights. They was working together, and they had taken away those preliminary right hearings from me. And they did such a good job because they had the public defenders, all the public defenders working for them, right? So eventually what happened was they made up this plea bargain, which Douglas Hanson claimed that he staffed with Paige Clarkson and the rest of them people, right? They staffed this case, and they said that I met certain criteria, which gave me parole officers that was sex offender parole officers. They were sex offender parole officers when I never ever went to the Department of Correction, because Douglas Hanson claims I supposedly had stipulated, and I took what was called a downward dispositional departure, which he never ever stated any mitigating or litigating factors in order to charge me outside of the mandatory sentence on the Oregon criminal grid line. So there's a lot that, and I'm sorry that this thing is going longer than I expected. It's just like playing a video game, right? It's just like being in the studio rapping, writing your lyrics down. I am telling you guys this. When I got initially charged, Douglas Hanson made it seem like he dropped the of my prescribed medication. They were actually found in my wife's person. A police officer, Roger Joe Smith, and Eric Hernandez testified to that. So there was no way that he, in order to charge an individual what was called a constructive delivery, you have to charge both parties. You have to charge both parties that possess this constructive delivery. So Paul Lively actually was an ex-sheriff for the Multnomah County Sheriff's Department. He's on a second chance as a probation officer, and he was involved with my DHS reports because eventually there was an open investigation on me for the fact that I was charged with the promoting prostitution case, which had me registering as a sex offender, and I had to go through all these obstacles to prove beyond reasonable doubt that I was not no sex offender and that Douglas Hanson just gave me a charge, basically. There was no child victim. There was no kid that I committed no crime on to even have me stand away from schools. Douglas Hanson himself even admitted to the fact that this wasn't the typical type of sex crime that the state, him, had any concerns with me and children of that nature. So that's why he was fine with me coming home, being around my kids and kids in my immediate family. Duh, why would I go out and just kick it with somebody else's child? That don't even sound right. The man is contradicting. So I wrote Paul Lively up to what's called the Department of Public Safety and Standards out in Salem. Right? Out in Salem. Right? When I wrote him up, they got this big report which implicated Douglas Hanson orchestrating his parole. Right? So Douglas Hanson is DOJ. He's actually getting everything that I write up. People is learning about him and know about him.
He threw it. He threw it. My birthday. My birthday. My birthday. My birthday. No, you did that. You.
Shut up. Yeah. So, get out. I'm almost done. So when I wrote Paul Lively up, the next thing you know, I get Stephanie Marie Allen. When I tell you they sent me to hell with that one, they sent me straight to hell. When they put this lady on my case. This lady did not give me a chance in hell. She automatically thought that I was this bona fide pimp, that I was just going to be flirting with her, that I was just going to be doing everything that Douglas Hanson told her. And when she found out that that wasn't true, and I began to investigate her, and I began to, tell her things about Douglas Hanson and how he was setting me up and how there was no victim to this case. So how was she even supervising me? She just really started contemplating on what Matthew Johnson is talking about. This man is saying some horrible things, and he got some horrible claims going on, right? And I was just telling her just like it is. I was like, Douglas Hanson used Paul Lively to set me up, and now you doing the same thing. I said something very important to Stephanie Allen because earlier you heard my wife explaining her, right? And I went to Stephanie Allen. I went to Stephanie Allen and I asked her, how would Joe Allen feel about what you doing to me? How would he feel? Where's the batteries? Where's the batteries? Find them.
There's only one.
There's one right there.
Yep. You know Chris was trying to cut the pineapple?
Man. Matthew,
Yeah?
I'll find that battery. I want to see if I fix this. So, find the battery.
Okay, Dad.
So when Stephanie Allen got on my case, I want to go back up a little bit with Paul Lively because Paul Lively arrested me, right? He arrested me on December 1st. He ended up sanctioning me to 3 days, right? So I ended up doing it 3 days, but then behind my back, Douglas Hanson put what was called a motion to show cause why probation should not be revoked and a bench warrant should be issued out of my name. Right, this what happened down in Marion County behind my back and behind Paul Lively's back. But Paul Lively had already knew that he sanctioned me. Where Paul Lively went wrong at is he didn't go down to the Marion County judge and say, "Hey, judge, I already sanctioned Matthew Johnson for this. There's no reason why Matthew Johnson should be arrested and had done more time on a PV." That I've already gave him. So that's why you see I've been arrested twice by Paul Lively. The first time he came to my house, I stepped out. My cousin, he was very upset about it, and I told my cousin, chill out. Chill out. You know, they taking me to jail for whatever reason. So I did my part. I did what I was supposed to do. I went down there, faced the charges, and every time they put me under a PV hold, they would never tell the public that I failed to register and that I used the internet and da. All that was done in secret. When the public seen me, is that it was a probation violation hold. So turn that phone down or turn it off. Where's the battery at?
I can't find it.
Go look for it. I want to see if. So when Douglas Hanson put the warrant out, I eventually goes back to jail 12/17/2000. Is it 2016, 17? Can't remember. Oh, 2016. Duh, it's right there in my face. You see, it says 12/7/2016, and on one of them says 12/1/2015. Oh, it's 2015 on both of them. Is it? It has to be because he arrested me twice. I went down. Well, my other paperwork tells the correct dates. They got them. They should have them on there. I want to look. So, moving on to Stephanie Allen. Stephanie Allen arrests me under my son's name, Matthew Mayfield Johnson III. That's my son, right? She puts me in jail and she holds me to see Susan Tripp, who recused herself off my case. Susan Tripp never ever sees me, not one time. Not one time in the whole time I'm going to court. do Susan Tripp sees me. I was just going down to Marion County courts for no reason because Douglas Hanson had a motive. He had a motive to to make me believe that if I don't do what he say, then that's it. If I don't comply with him, then I'm for sure going upstate. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I end up getting transferred to Marion County after doing 14 days. I got forced out of jail because I didn't have the hearing. And Stephanie Allen proceeded to prosecute me. How do I explain this? Because in the next pictures, you're going to see all the judges. You're going to see all the judges. This is going to be the most fastest part that I explain here, right? These judges, the very first judge that you see is Judge Channing Bennett. He actually seen my case and my wife's case, and that's why you hear him on my court audio transcript saying the name caught my eye, but it's a different person, because he was actually looking at my wife's citation paperwork. And what Douglas Hanson did in the court aspect of this is that he filed what's called EDP offer. He told somebody, whoever was working with him, to give my wife an early dispositional program, right? And the one thing that I say about how they used my wife and took advantage of her is that hadn't my wife knew that John H. Turner was her attorney 30 days prior, she would have been able to put up a defense. She would have been able to have a defense. But they knew that my wife was going to come to court 30 days later and admit to her own admission of guilt. So there was no reason to give her an attorney. That's where they violated my wife's constitutional rights. They basically used her as a suspect, gained the information, did not dismiss it. They kept it and they charged me with it. And then you got the next these judges. When I break these judges down, please understand that I'm not exposing these judges for doing anything corrupted or crooked. What I'm saying is that these judges was lied to. These judges had no idea of how deep Douglas Hanson got himself, what kind of trouble he got himself into. And he used judges, and the way that he used these judges is the fact that he filed falsified documentation, and the judge sees thousands of cases a day, so the judge ain't solely focused on Matthew Johnson. There's no way that Matthew Johnson got the special attention of a judge. So why these judges is up here besides the Honorable Susan Tripp? Because she normally know what's going on. She is the trial judge that turned herself in to a fact-finding judge under a bench trial, and she illegally allowed Douglas Hanson to prosecute the case. She actually made Gale Rieder, who was an ex-attorney, because I'm saying ex-attorney is because she's now retired, but she also was a judge. She wasn't just no typical public defender. She was basically a judge who knew the law, and her sole position was to do what these judges do: make sure that the law is being applied fairly. I didn't get that I did not get that with Gale Rieder representing me as my private counsel. Remind you, Jessica Kemphy, which was a public defender, she claimed a conflict of interest because I would not let go of the fact that Kerry Weiland and Douglas Hanson took away my preliminary hearing rights. They did that. And they thought they was going to get away with it because they thought poor Matthew Johnson don't know his rights. He's just a stupid, dumb kid, and we're gonna teach him a lesson. We're gonna teach him about being in Salem. Not that I was down there to commit any crime, because they had no real evidence of me committing no crime. They didn't. And that's the honest God truth. They lied to these judges, and somewhere somebody got to explain it to these judges. How do Matthew Johnson know so much about us? Why won't this kid let this go? Because they thinking that, man, I'm just a little. I'm a kid. I'm a kid. You know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not schooled. I'm not experienced. I'm not none of this. So Judge Donald A. Barr, he kept on seeing. This is the thing with Douglas Hanson and how he was cheating, is that he kept on giving my case, bouncing my case around through the courts. He kept on bouncing it around so other judges wouldn't pay attention to the the paperwork. Because, like I say, judges see 1,000 cases. They not worried about Matthew Johnson. They typically got the understanding that the prosecutor and the DA, I mean the prosecutor and the public defender is doing their job with the ethical morals, with and that's not what happened here. Shh. Get out. That's not what happened here. What happened was they kept on changing out the judges, kept on switching me out, kept on setting my court date over, doing a whole nine to me, just robbing me of my dignity, using these judges who's going to force and apply the law how it's supposed to be. Like I said, what is you gonna do, Douglas Hanson? What are you gonna do when one of these judges figure out what you did? You know what I mean? It's totally, it's wrong. It's inhumane. I I just let y'all see the judges. I named the judges: Judge Channing Bennett, A. Barr, then Donald A. Barr is the next judge. Then we got Judge Daniel W. Penn. Then you got Judge Thomas Hart, Susan Tripp. Then you got Judge Janet. Oh, what a nice judge. What a nice judge. That was one of the nicest judges I ever seen in my whole case. And she was only on my case for a short time. Uh, Miss Janet, I love you. I wish that they never put my case before you. I wish you never got on my court audio transcripts. I wish, like Carol, that somebody told you the truth about that, and I stand behind it. If anything that I can do or say when this case come out to the public to help you or anything like that, I'm in your corner. And that also goes for Judge Aubrey Boyles. Judge Aubrey Boyles was having a hard time when she seen me, you know, and everybody is entitled to having feelings, but a judge can't bring that to work, you know. And I respect the fact that Judge Aubrey Boyles was willing to have my hearing, but they was lying to this lady. They was lying to her, and they
Me.
was lying to her. They lied and lied and lied, and she didn't get a chance to really see my case. She just heard about it. She just heard the situation. She didn't. She didn't actually. She wasn't even given a chance to put my case on for the hearing that she threatened to have with me that day, because Martin Habakkuk and Stephanie Allen orchestrated a release of information for me to sign in order for them to not be caught up breaking the law. These people is really hateful people. I'm telling you. I never seen so much hate in my life until I ran into Douglas Christopher Hanson. I mean that, cause he went to legislators, he went to a whole lot of different people, and it's not fair. It's not fair by no means. Is it fair, Doug? And you know that. You know it's not fair, and that's why they tell us that you no longer work for the Marion County Jail, or you no longer work for the Marion County DA's office. Um, You see a judge on here named Judge Vance D. Day. He's the second judge to the bottom. He on there because he was not supposed to actually be seeing any criminal felony cases during the time I was going to court, especially because he was being consequenced through the. Go see if it'll work. He was being consequenced through the Judicial Fitness Board for being racist. And that's all I would say. Go look up go look up Judge Vance D. Day. And then we got William M. Horner next to him. We already said Judge Aubrey Boyles. And this is why I earlier told you guys about the double jeopardy. These are the judges that I seen through the bottom judges, all the bottom row down, all the way down to Daniel Warren, which is the last judge to the bottom, all was on probation violation. None of these judges, none of them, I repeat this, none of these judges should have been seeing my case because I was on probation. The only way that any one of these judges can see my case is if the Honorable Judge Tripp recused herself off and she sent it to a specific judge. There was no way that I was supposed to see all these judges. And Susan Tripp up there in the top left, or top right, I should say, for me. But she should have actually saw the case. As you can see, if you do your own investigation and you type up anything dealing with Vance D. Day, you will see Susan Tripp going to bat for him. So a favor for a favor is what Judge Day gave her, you know. So we getting close to the end of this live stream. And I got one special video, because not only do we deal with Marion County, and again I repeat this for the record, that these judges have no idea of Douglas Hanson's corruption. These judges was lied to. These judges took Susan Tripp's word for it. Come on, she's the honorable judge. She's the executive judge in their county. So everything that happens go through Susan Tripp. Susan Tripp basically sits at the Oregon State Board. She sits at the corner of the Oregon State Bar for civil rights. So she knows about all this corruption. But the last but not least, we told you earlier how Douglas Hanson used the ACL to cross over jurisdiction. How do I prove that? Because I got what's called Multnomah County lineup. The Multnomah County lineup is just as horrifying as Marion County, but this is dealing with a juvenile court case. Now, what we talk about under vulnerable victim is the fact that we have to keep the victim's age private, and we also have to keep the victim's profile private, which is my daughter. And a lot of people know about this situation because we blast this situation. Here you got a probation officer for the juvenile court division, right? You got him. His name is John Ephraim. I said John Ephraim. His name is John Ashford Jr. He was actually my daughter's PO, right? He was put on my daughter's case because my daughter had got into a fight. She was skipping school, was at blase. Make a long story short, he ends up picking my daughter out of a pool, and she gets on probation. But what happens is, in the beginning, as an adult, me and my daughter is going down to see John Ashford, and I'm telling John Ashford I can't fully participate, and I'm technically, legally not supposed to be in the juvenile courts or on the juvenile premises because there is other kids that walks up, and that's basically violating my probation. So he had to reach out to Stephanie Allen. Are you serious? Where's the remote? Where is it? Where's the remote at? I just gave it to you. So we end up writing John Ashford up for sexual harassment charges and how he was just basically slandering my daughter and meeting with her in private rooms and turning up music so other employees couldn't hear him. John Ashford admitted this crime too. So we end up going to King Elementary School, and we got some resources, and we end up meeting this civil attorney by the name of Ephraim Lawrence. Ephraim Lawrence had filed what was called a tort claim notice. Now you see the two men down. One name is James Rice, and the other one name is David Blankfield. David Blankfield and James Rice knew about the tort claim notice through Corvell Corporations. They actually represent the county for the claim, right? And we ain't gonna get into the paperwork. I'll do that for another time. So again, you got Matt DeSantos, because not only did he talk to my wife about her situation, he also talked to my underage daughter. I think it was Kelly Simon. She's actually the director of ACLU now. We reached out to Deborah Kafori, which is our chair of the county commissioners. You got Nal Strun, which was also a part of this. He's now retired. You got Scott Taylor, who was actually over the whole. He was the director of the parole and probation for the adult and juvenile. You got Joanne Hardesty on here because we reached out to her. There are several emails. You got Miss McKnight, Judge McKnight, who saw they actually tried to prosecute my daughter, even though they knew of the sexual harassment tort claim notice filed on her by Ephraim, fouled on John Ashford by Ephraim Lawrence. They actually prosecuted my daughter in retaliation for these tort claim notice. So you got the new director, Erica Pruitt. We tried to reach out to her several times, several times, right? Erica Pruitt is not for the people. Not right now at this point, unless somebody is lying to her and not allowing her to know who the Johnson family is and how Douglas Hanson and them is tied into all this and they working angles behind the scenes. Now you got next to Erica Pruitt, Dina Corso. Dina Corso is actually the director for the juvenile courts, right? She actually is John Ashford Jr.'s boss. So she basically signs his paycheck. We reached out to her in emails. She never met up with us. What she did do was send in Jill Bradford with Human Services, Department of Human Services, and also Tracy Freeman. Those are the two people that you see to the top right of us. And there's more information that we will reveal next time I go live. Be sure to watch it because I will be posting the videos and the emails to this. And remember this, that God loves you and you guys have a blessed and wonderful night.